Hey guys, how's it going? So what I thought would be useful today is to basically go over like how the classes are structured here at NTNU. I know a few people have asked me already, so hopefully it's going to be useful. I know some of you guys are coming here quite soon actually, so if you do arrive, then feel free to send me a message and hopefully we can meet up or something like that. But yeah, anyway, so the classes are generally structured here at the universities. How it works is you've split into 3-month semesters. So at the end of every 3 months, you get new students come to the university, and you get some of the old students leave, and they swap around. And because this is basically like a bolt onto the uni, it's not part of the actual thing. It's not like you're doing an actual degree. It's just a language centre. So you don't get any degree, you don't get any fancy awards or anything at the end of this. You simply turn up. You get classes for either intensive or regular. The regular is 2 hours a day and the intensive is 3 hours a day, and then you just turn up at the end of 3 months. You can leave or choose to do another semester. So I'm here for 9 months total, which is 3 semesters. And at the end of the 3 months, if you're doing multiple semesters in a row, there's a big test, and you have to score at least 60% in the test. Otherwise, you have to start over otherwise you get pushed back lessons. So say for me, I should be progressing on to book 3, lesson 3, book 5. I passed the test. If I failed the test, then I would have, if I get between 50 and 60%, you have to start over at the start of book 3. And if you get below 50%, you have to start, I think it was book 2, chapter 11 for me, and we started on book 2, chapter 6. So depending on how bad you score, you get pushed back further in the big test. But I think there's not anything to stress too much over. As long as you're getting alright scores in class, then you should have no problem in the test at all. I think on average, people score 10% lower on the big test than they do on the class test. So if you're scoring at least 70% on the class test, it really shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, and at the moment I'm on book 3, as I said, and I've done both book 2. I started on book 2, I'm on book 3 now. They're both going over roughly one lesson every 4 days. But I think when you get to the later books, my friend's doing book 5, and she told me that, it's a much slower pace than that. I don't know if that's to do with the complexity, or I guess it might also be to try and keep people in the program longer so they can get more money. Who knows? And one final thing, if you're going for the Hanyu Enrichment Scholarship like I have, where you get like money from the Taiwanese government, you need to average 80% score in across all your tests and stuff to be able to get the scholarship, like an average of 80%. And also you have to have high attendance as well. So I'm going to describe, I think most days for me, although it's sometimes the lesson's 3 days, sometimes the lesson's 4 days, most of the time it's 4 days for me. So I'm going to try and go through that with you now, what it looks like if it's 4 days. So in every textbook you have a dialogue that looks like this. You've got the Chinese characters here in traditional, and then in the back you've got what it says. In the back you've got vocabulary 1, and here in book 3 there's typically around about 30 to 35 odd new words in each chapter, and a lot of them are just combinations of characters or the same characters using a different way, and we're not really counting for new words, to be honest. And here you've got each chapter also has a reading section as well, and like with dialogue you've got vocabulary 2. Okay, so each chapter of the book has a reading section, a dialogue section, and 2 sections of vocabulary to go with it, along with other grammar exercises and stuff, which I think you normally do in class. So on day 1, as it is for me, you typically get given, you have to do a dictation test for the vocab 1. So you have to do, your homework for that is to learn all of the words in vocab 1. You have to, for me, we have 2 practice books. This is the one for 2 character books. This one's for practice. This one, the green one, is for the dictation test. So if I just open the pink one to get you have a look, here you basically get given all the words from the new dialogue, and they say my teacher at first said write out every character 10 times from that and try to remember it. And then when my scores got better in the test, she said, you don't have to bother writing it out 10 times. You can write out less if you want to. Typically, I do it like 5 times now. It seems fine for me. And you literally just write out the new words for that to try and remember the characters for the dictation test. And that's your homework to going into day 1. So day 1 of starting a new lesson in the book, you prepare for the dictation test, and your homework is to learn the vocab from vocab 1 and prepare for the dictation test. You won't actually go over the dialogue and the reading section that much in class, apart from reading over it once or twice and answering a few questions. So, and normally in the dictation tests, the way they use the words are almost identical to what's in the dialogue. So if you can listen and understand the dialogue, maybe listen to it a few times over the day of the test, it's going to be a lot easier. And when I started doing that, my first dialogue dictation was terrible. I think I got like 35, but now when I've started listening to it more and I've got a bit more comfortable writing, I'm averaging like mid-90s now, and I think it's a lot. It helps a lot to listen to the dialogue before. And then day 2 is the same again, but for vocab 2. So again, pink book for me. Maybe it'll be different in your class. I think it depends on the teacher. But you're getting ready for vocab 2, which again, this is based off the reading section, and there's the new vocab 2. You go through all of that. And then after that, day 3 and 4 is normally a bit more relaxed in terms of homework. We have this workbook here, and inside, I'm just flipping through now, there is normally some sort of listening questions at the start, and then there's some sort of fill in the blank, and do you know the characters sorts of thing. And then at the end of the workbook, there is a writing section here. So we normally, I think typically now we write about 2 pages. So you can see here, it was about 2 pages long. And they say, write between about 200 to 250 characters. But, sometimes if I've got, if it's about a topic I like and I've got some stuff I want to write down, I find it quite interesting. So I'm happy to just keep going anyway. But yeah, that's about 2 pages. So normally the homework for the big test on day, or not the big test, the test on day 4 for each lesson is to complete the workbook. Because normally they're 4 days, normally I do half before day 3 and half before day 4, because that way it kind of spreads out the homework a bit more, as opposed to just doing it all on the last day, because I find that's quite a lot to do in one day, and I want to spend my time actually doing other things like listening and reading to real language. So after that we have the big test on the lesson test at the end. So here's one of my tests here. So normally what they have is you have at the start you have some listening questions, so they tell you write down A, B or C based on the dialogue. A lot of the time they also have more listening questions, which is they read, so these are normally short passages, and you answer based on like a few seconds of a dialogue, and you say what did the woman mean, A, B or C, and you can write it down. This one typically they read a longer dialogue, maybe about a minute long, and you have to circle for true and a cross for false. And then I think again this depends on the teacher. Every test different. And then there's normally some sort of can you remember the characters, which you sometimes get given opinion and write it down here what the character should be. But the thing is, because this is a whole test paper full of other characters, and they have at the back sometimes for the speaking section they have some of the new characters and structures here. You can just find the answers in another part of the paper. Not 100% of the time, but maybe like 50-50. So if you don't know the answer, it's worth having a look on the rest of the paper. And then again, it's similar. Which one do you think's correct? Which one do you think's wrong? ABCs like that. Sometimes some more. Here's some stuff up there to use. Type in A, B, C, D or whatever in some grammar sections, and then normally they have a section as well saying you answer this question and use this grammar structure, which to be honest I don't really like these that much, but they're not too difficult. They're all the stuff you've gone through in class. And then at the at the end of this, you get a speaking test here, which is nothing to worry about as well. I think it's just like I said, it is. I think if you're watching my channel and you're the type of person who watches and reads a lot outside of class, then your general speaking and listening is probably going to be better than most people. So I think it's nothing to worry about. It's quite relaxed, and all the teachers are lovely and really supportive. So nothing to be afraid of there. And I guess I'll show you quickly my last dictation test, so you can just get an idea of sentences size. So normally for me it's 4 sentences. So normally what they tell you to do is they write out so they read a sentence, and they normally read fairly slow and read it a few times to give you a lot of time to write out. You write out the Chinese characters, and when I was on book 2 they told me to write out the pinyin as well with the tone marks. Now I'm on book 3, they say you don't have to write out the pinyin, you can just write the tone marks. But something I like to do for the dictation, because I write pinyin a lot faster than the characters, obviously. So the first time I hear a sentence, I write out the sentence in pinyin with the tone marks, and then I can just simply take my time really slowly and fill out the characters after, because once you write out the pinyin, I know what the sentence is. I can just go back and fill in all the gaps. So normally it's 4 sentences. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, this is taking roughly, in the book 3, roughly a page a sentence. So they're quite long, but again, she reads slowly, so it's nothing there to be too much of concern either. So that's the basic structure of NTNU. So they, again, like I said, semester every 3 months, big test at the end of the semester to decide whether you can progress or you have to get pushed back a little bit. You cover a lesson in the book. Each lesson in the book has 1 dialogue and 1 reading section, each with its own new vocab. You have a dictation test for each of the new vocab tests, and a lesson test at the end of each lesson, at the end of each module in the book, which is again roughly 4 days. So hopefully that's useful. Let me know if you have any questions or if anything wasn't clear, and I'll try and clear that up best I can. But if that's all, then thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.